Hey y'all, I'm Karen Mayer Cunningham, the special education boss. If you've ever felt confused, overwhelmed, or just plain frustrated at the 504 IEP table, you are in the right place. Every week, I'm breaking down the rules, the rights, and the realities of special education so you can walk into meetings informed, empowered, and ready to make real change. And whether you're a parent, a teacher, an advocate, a school-based member, or somebody who's just trying to do right by a student, this podcast gives you straight talk, real answers, and tools that you can use immediately. I'm not here to play politics. I'm not here to play sides. I'm here to train people who sit at the table and teach you how to follow the law, ask the right questions, and protect the rights of students. So go ahead and hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change. We're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. Hey, welcome back. If we haven't met, I'm Karen Mayer Cunningham, special education boss, training everyone that sits at the 504 IEP table to navigate and negotiate successful student outcomes. First, if you haven't got our new book, it's out everywhere. The Epic IEP. You can get it at theepiciep.com or at your favorite book fulfillment center. It's a powerful playbook for parents, educators, and advocates navigating the IEP process. So today, let's talk about what's very, very important, and that is you have now received your FIE, you've received your reevaluation, your updated assessments, and preparing for that IEP eligibility meeting and or a meeting that is an IEP meeting for eligibility and writing the IEP. Depending where you are in the United States, some states require for you to have an IEP meeting that's solely about the evaluations and eligibilities, and then you have to have another IEP meeting. I don't know why we have to have the meeting, but most states would have it at the same time. You would review those evaluations, consider the data summary and conclusion, and then make recommendations for that for new eligibility services and or support. So we have the FIE, we have the evaluation. So how do I go to that meeting? Well, first, we have an electronic copy of the evaluation. Why? So that we can prepare. That's how we go to business meetings. An IEP meeting is a business meeting so that we can prepare. So what's important to know about that evaluation? Well, first, I'm going to ask for an electronic copy from all evaluators. Hopefully, it's put together in a composite document that has all of the 8 pieces in it, but it may not. So we would get them from the speech and language pathologist. We would get them from whoever did medical physical. We would get sociological. We would get that formal psychological, emotional, behavioral evaluation. We would get the formal cognitive evaluation. We would get adaptive behavior. We would get formal achievement. And then, of course, we would get any related or instructional service provider evaluations that were completed. So once you get all those as a parent, you're going to want to print them out, and you're going to want to grab a highlighter and your favorite pen and read the entire evaluation. And then go back in each section and look and see if you understand it, if you have questions about it. You know, often when we read evaluations, they're a little bit clinical, diagnostic, and we will say things to parents, and then we'll say, do you have any questions? And they say, no, because they don't really know what you're talking about. So it's important ahead of time as a parent to go ahead and write down your questions. The only bad question is the one that you didn't ask to the committee, because they are ready to answer that question for you. And so in the speech and language evaluation, there could be up to 9 areas that they've assessed. Make sure that you understand what those instruments and numbers mean. You know, when we sit in meetings, we'll say that, you know, his TEAT score, his scale score, his standard score, and the, you know, 1 deviation from the norm. You know, all of these words that we use, cross battery, and parents don't really know what we're talking about. We need to talk in an IEP meeting in a way that's informative, but purposeful and useful for the parent to understand how to intervene and where we need to pivot for their child. And so when you go back to the FIE, write down what are your questions. Often parents will have evaluators email them like at 5 o'clock the day before the meeting next door, and they may not have had an opportunity to connect with them, because just like teachers are at school all day, parents are at work all day. So when we get into the meeting, there is an obligation for the school district to review the evaluation. And so let's not say things to parents like, well, I left you a message, you didn't call me back. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. So it's important that we have these conversations in the IEP meeting so that everybody is on the same page. And you're not rushed. It's your child's IEP meeting about their evaluations, which is the foundational piece that we're going to put in the present levels to craft an IEP to change outcomes. So we want to make sure that we do that right. Ask questions in any section. Sometimes at the end of a section, the evaluator might use words like, I did not find them eligible in this section. I did find them eligible. I found an area of need in this section, but all decisions are made by the IEP committee. So again, write down what your questions are. It is imperative that you understand these evaluations and how they impact your student. Good evaluators at the end of each section will put recommendations for staff members that might give us recommendations on support, accommodation, goals, service times or minutes, and even how we adjust or augment the student's educational product or delivery of education. So make sure that you've taken the time to review it ahead of time. You've read through it. Evaluations are lengthy. They could be 30, 40, 50 pages long. So take your time, go through them, have another piece of paper, and write your questions down. Additionally, do not excuse an evaluator from the evaluation meeting, right? Even if you think you don't have questions, another person might bring something up that would then trigger a question in that section. If you don't have that evaluator there, it's a possibility that your questions won't get answered in that meeting. Okay, so that is how you prepare for an evaluation meeting. That may be an eligibility meeting, and then also may go into writing the IEP and talking about services support so your student can be successful. Remember, when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. And this is important because it impacts the child's future. And we don't rush through this, and we do it with fidelity because this is the important business meeting. It's the business of educating your child who has a disability, who needs special education related services. So we hope this is helpful. If you need anything, always reach out to us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. And remember, we will see you guys in the next training. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody.
Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change, we're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody.